Jumping hour watches, they are fascinatingly odd creatures. Sure, they attract plenty of interest when it's time to sell. Trust me, I had my fair share of inquiries, but reviewing them, well, that's a whole other challenge. Maybe it's because so many of them look and feel somewhat similar, or perhaps because brands just aren't innovating enough. But here is where Milifortic shakes things up a bit. They've done a few clever things that make their jumping hour watch truly stand out. Well, except for one thing. The price. It is still delightfully low, and honestly, that is not a bad thing in my book. So what makes this Milifortic so special? Well, we have it here. Let's find out. Hello and welcome back! Milifortic is a sister brand to Baltany. Now, I'm not entirely sure why they launched a separate brand, because in terms of design and build quality, at least in my experience, Milifortic watches are right there on par with Baltany, so there is not much market segmentation going on there. That said, Milifortic watches are generally more affordable than Baltany, which might mean that you are getting Baltany level quality at a lower price point. Sounds like a win, right? Well, in fact, this particular watch is not only giving run for the money to its sister brand, but also beats out every other jumping hour watch I've seen on AliExpress. And the best part, well, there are zero compromises when it comes to materials and build quality. Plus, they added a feature here that you won't find on the similar watches from other brands, and we'll check it out in just a moment. But first, for full transparency, Milifortic did send me this jumping hour timepiece for review, and I get to keep it. That said though, as usual, I'll give you my honest and comprehensive opinion and thoughts about this watch, and of course you will find all the product links where you can explore it further in the description of this video. Looking at the price, Milifortic has this watch listed at around $110. It comes in two colorways, one with a salmon dial featuring a brushed textured background, and the other with a pale yellow enamel dial, which is the one I have here. As we can see from the description, this watch is powered by the Seagull ST17T movement. And like I mentioned earlier, after digging through AliExpress for other jumping hour watches from different brands using the same movement, I couldn't find anything more affordable than this Milifortic. The overall design is clean, minimalistic and purposefully vintage in its aesthetic. That pale yellow enamel dial really sets the tone. It's got a subtle warmth that gives off an old-school vibe without feeling dated. The jumping hour window sits just under the 12 o'clock position, while a crisp black minute hand sweeps around the dial paired with a blued small seconds hand at 6. It's the kind of design that makes you feel like you should be sipping espresso at a sidewalk cafe or writing poetry in a leather-bound notebook. There's a quiet charm to it, understated, but it knows exactly what it's doing. And behind this understated minimalist exterior sits the tried and tested Seagull ST17T movement. Known for its reliability and solid reputation, this movement has one more standout feature. It's arguably the most affordable jumping hour caliber available. That not only helps keep the overall cost of this watch impressively low, but also means any future servicing or even a full movement replacement can be done without breaking the bank. And now looking at dimensions, we have case diameter of 38 mm, lug width of 20 mm, case height of 11.1 mm, including sapphire crystal, nice and slim, lug-to-lug distance of 45.8 mm as I measured it, and this watch weighs about 66 grams. The case on this Milifortic keeps things simple, but don't let that fool you, it's got substance. It is of course made from solid stainless steel, giving it a sturdy, well-built feel without looking too chunky. The finishing is clean and sharp, with smooth brushing across the flanks and top of the lugs, further enhancing the minimalist vibe. And we have a sterile screw-on caseback with circular brushing. Here is where it gets interesting. Despite its clean dress watch styling, this thing comes with a screw-down crown and surprising 100 meters of water resistance. That's the kind of spec we would expect from a diver or skin diver for that matter, not a vintage-style jumping hour piece. So yes, you could actually get caught in the rain or even fall in the pool and still be okay. All in all, the case walks that fine line between form and function. It's elegant, but not too precious. Protecting the dial is a ever so slightly domed sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. It is a double-domed crystal and it has just enough curve for a touch of vintage flair without distorting the view, and the AR coating helps cut down reflections so the dial stays nice and legible. Solid choice, especially at this price point. The dial of this Milifortic leans confidently into vintage territory. Finished in a soft, pale yellow enamel tone, it gives off a warm, refined character that fits the minimalistic aesthetic perfectly. There's no lume and no applied elements, everything is cleanly printed from the black minute track to the crisp numerals. It's a dial that doesn't try to impress with flash but with balance and simplicity. The jumping hour window sits just below 12, framed by a slightly recessed ring that adds a bit of depth. Then at 6 o'clock, a recessed small second sub-dial brings in a bit of visual interest, topped off with a blued seconds hand for that subtle pop. And while the layout is minimal, it's not lacking in personality. The Milifortic logo is a great example. The font of the logo feels like it belongs. Not too bold, not too stylized, it complements the vintage vibe without drawing too much attention to itself. Overall, the dial has a soft-spoken elegance. It doesn't shout, but it does invite a second glance and maybe even a little nod of appreciation. This Milifortic comes on a genuine leather strap that, while unpadded, feels of a good quality. It is sealed on the sides, providing additional moisture resistance. Right out of the box, it's pliable and comfortable, no break-in period needed. The stitching is clean and precise, adding to that overall sense of care in the details. It is a 20mm strap, so swapping it out for another is easy if you feel like changing the look. That said, the color pairing with the dial is spot on. Nothing flashy, just a good match that complements the overall vintage tone of the piece. The buckle is brushed stainless steel, echoing the finish on the case, and it's signed with an engraved Milifortic logo, a small but thoughtful touch that ties everything together nicely. Overall, it's a well-executed strap that feels right for the watch. It is comfortable on the wrist, nicely finished, and leaves plenty of room for personalization if you're the strap swapping type. So at around $110, this Milifortic is honestly a bit of a standout. For a watch with a jumping hour complication, a solid build and a refined vintage aesthetic, it punches way above its price. I actually owned another jumping hour watch that costs more, and yet this one not only looks better but also feels better built. And this is the one that I will most likely be keeping in my collection, and the other one will get sidelined. Well, this isn't your everyday watch. It is quirky, conversation-starting piece, something you throw on once in a while when you want something a little different, and for that role it nails it. It is comfortable, interesting, well executed, and just fun to wear. Okay, if there is one thing I would tweak, it would be the unsigned crown. A little branding there would have added a nice finishing touch, but really that's a minor gripe in otherwise impressively cohesive package. So if you are looking to add something unusual to your rotation, a watch that's elegant but unique, affordable but well made, well, this Milifortic is more than worth the look. What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments, and for more great value watches, check out my playlist on the screen over here. Don't forget to like and of course subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thank you for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next video.